Good morning, good afternoon and good evening to everyone wherever you may be tuning in today's episode from around the globe. We're here at the High 24 show in Brisbane, Australia. This is the fifth and final episode of our High 24 show series, and today I'm sitting down with the man from the West, all the way from Perth, Western Australia. Starting his career and joining the equipment rental industry back in 1984 with Coburn Hire. Fun fact, 1984 being the release date of the original Macintosh computer. Additionally, working in many roles and capacities throughout his extensive career in the equipment rental industry, from Wreck Air Hire to National Hire to Coates and the Cat Rental Store. The current Western Australia Hire and Rental Industry Association State President and sitting on the HRA's Board of Directors. Recently nominated as a finalist in last year's Australian Hire Company of the Year award with his company in Classic Hire. Classic Hire being one of Western Australia's large equipment hire providers with now 8 locations across Western Australia. I'd like to pass on a big welcome to Business Development Manager of Classic Hire, Craig Palmer. Craig, thank you for coming on the Rental Journal.
Thank you very much, mate. That's a very nice introduction. Cheers.
Craig, you've initially started your career and joining the rental industry soon after your studies in 1984 with Coburn Hire, holding various roles, initially being very much hands on the tools, from rolling air compressor hoses to welding leads, moving into many management positions and running branches and primarily focus on WA's heavy industry and clients in the mining, resources and oil and gas sectors, starting, founding, then merging your own hire company, Choice Equipment Rentals, with being acquired by Classic Hire and stepping into your current position as Business Development Manager. Craig, honestly, where do we even start? And I'd love to hear a recap, an overview on your personal development journey in the rental industry, from the companies you've worked for, positions you've held, and where you are today.
Oh, God, okay, no worries. Going back to let's start at the start then. 1984, sort of left school, and there was a gentleman, Mark Bush, who was working for Coburn Hire at the time, and they had, I think, 3 branches at the time: Hammy Hill, Midland, and another one. And he sort of mentioned, they were friends of the family, and mentioned that they had some work, and it sounded really interesting. So that was my first job out of school, was down at Hammy Hill, Coburn Hire. And so, the boys took me under their wing quickly, very green and knowing nothing. So I'm rolling hoses, helping Colin Croft paint trailers. Vince Persicello was the apprentice at the time, when a lot of apprentices there as well, Aldo Fardello, and those guys teach me how to service small engines, really understanding the business, hooking on trailers, talking to customers, understanding their needs, learning the computer later with Norm Hutchings. A lot of great people. And sort of just learnt the business from there, as a yardie for a couple of years, then sort of going into the branch, into the shop and using the computer and doing contracts basically, as well as doing some driving. And as your skills get better, they give you a bit more rope and all that fun stuff. I just remember it as being such a fun environment and just great people,
Seeing every part of the business.
Doing deliveries, and so it was very diverse because we also had a branch down at Kwinana, so that's the industrial strip in Western Australia. So you'd be dealing with the CSBPs, the BPs, all the really big industrial companies, the fertiliser companies, the oil and gas companies. So having exposure to all the really big compressors and 900 CFMs and what that meant and how to deliver them with tilt trays, and actually Aaron Thompson was down there at the time, so we go back 35 years, and he was he wasn't the manager, but he was running that branch, had it very well organised. So just developing relationships and
Craig, founding your own hire company, Choice Equipment Rentals, back in 2015, before your time with Classic Hire, completing your MBA at the University of Western Australia in 2012. What did you learn about yourself and learn about the industry from this season of running your own hire company, and some lessons that you still implement today?
Yeah, I mean, things that I think about were that I got out of school in year 10, and so I just had a thirst for learning, and I didn't know how to develop myself, really. I didn't have mentors till very later in my career. And so I guess once I found or a mentor found me, he said, let's do some schooling. So I just went back to university. I was 40, did an MBA, and then I stupidly went back and did another degree at Deakin Uni online. So that was a challenge. I just wanted to make sure that I had all the tools in the kit to be able to move forward confidently in where I wanted to. I like growing businesses. I've had that's what I like to do: growing businesses, or being in growing businesses, and growing and developing people, because that's been my journey. If you know what I like, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Speaking of development, Classic Hire has been now one of WA's largest equipment hire providers. Now 8 locations from Balcrat all the way down to Armidale across the city of Perth, and still a family-owned and operated business.
100%.
Catering for everybody from the local tradesmen and contractors to that DIY weekend warrior projects, providing an extensive range now of modern reliable equipment, from your aerial access to earth-moving, smaller lawn and landscaping equipment. Craig, who is Classic Hire, the history of Classic Hire and the origin story of this amazing institution, then the product, services and customer base that you're focused on in Perth?
Okay. Classic Hire was started in 1993 by a couple of young fellas, Aldo Fardello and Mark Bush, and Wayne Miller was a part of that as well. And so that business developed under Wayne, and he had a vision. The other boys wanted to hire. They'd been in hire for a long time. And so Mark and Aldo decided to do other things. Wayne developed the business and put Aaron Thompson in charge. And that was probably the best move he ever made. And that business just grew. And it had a foundation of support for customers and customer service. And the business has just developed that. It started off with cashies with a very small product list. And just kept developing with tradies, and these days we do the tier ones and we do the infrastructure jobs, and we've got larger plant and equipment, but we are very disciplined about where we stop and where we start in that range, if you know what I mean. Because we know the customers, the infrastructure customers, the tier twos. We don't really delve into mining so much. So we stay out of that space.
Craig, with the expansion and growth of Classic Hire from this single branch back in 1993 to now 8 locations, what's been this evolution over the years, the very different stages that it's really progressed now into 2024? And how do you guys at Classic Hire really set yourselves apart from the larger players and competition in the Western Australian market?
Sure. Western Australia is really cyclical. And so it's a bit of boom bust. I get you would have a bit of that on the East Coast as well, but being a mining state, it's probably a little bit more extreme. And so I've been through 3 mergers, just the cycles, the business cycles and balance sheets among companies and all of those contributing factors. And that's sort of shaped me and others as well. And so you've got to be mindful of those cycles and always have a war chest, you know what I mean? I guess that's one of the lessons I learned along the way in developing people and networks. What was the rest of the question? Sorry, mate.
No, so how does Classic Hire set itself apart from the larger players, competition in the Western Australian market?
So setting ourselves apart is knowing those cycles, knowing our customers very well and how we support them best. And so I guess how we set ourselves apart is trust. Classic Hire has built such trust with its customers. They rely on us, one phone call and it's done, if you like. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to make that second call. They just trust us to get the job done, and we do. I've been a part of helping to develop that, and maintain that, which I'm really proud of. We've got a great team there, the branch managers that we've got. We develop those guys, and which develops the business. We develop the product range with our managers, that's a very rewarding part.
Craig, going back to the Choice Equipment rental days, what initially drew you to this opportunity of merging with Classic Hire, from the culture and the amazing team that they've developed to some overall success stories, providing, like you said, immense value to the Perth construction community?
When we sold, I had a partner in that business, Michael Maiolo, who was, Michael builds lighting towers, amazing knowledge, and builds an amazing product. And so he would build the lighting towers and I would do the hiring. And so that came from discussions with myself, Dave Duddington, and we developed that business and it built up over a number of 5 years, and it was actually Kennards that bought that business. And so I left that after that and went camping. The business was successful for 5 years. We were growing, but just on one product, lighting. Well, not one product, several products, but specialising in lighting and supporting customers with that in that space. And so I guess I've got a little specialist niche myself. I know that area very, very well. And I've been able to develop that in and help our guys and the Classic Hire business as well with that area.
Sure. Craig, you've said that at Classic Hire you take safety very seriously, that you employ trained service technicians to ensure your customer enjoys a trouble-free rental experience, that you comprehensively test all of your equipment to manufacturer's specifications prior to it being put back into your fleet, that your team will always advise on the right equipment for the job and any questions a customer might have. Craig, how do you prioritise the emphasis of talent in the Classic Hire organisation, and to what impact does this play on your overall customer satisfaction and perth?
Yeah, okay. So with our guys and talent, we have a criteria. So we've got a very, very strong management team in Erin and Terry Price. And so we've sort of discussed and we list all the skills that we're looking for. And we'll have a look at our branch managers and our 2 ICs, and we'll give them a criteria on each category, on customer service, on their knowledge, and I guess we understand where we can grow them and where they can help us grow others. And so with that in mind, we get a really clear picture of where everybody sits and what we might like their next stage of growth to be. And so we set a plan each year. We'll send them off to the Australian Institute of Management, and they'll get training in areas that they want to be trained in, but also that we feel that they've got growth in, and we discuss those things with them. And so we monitor that and have quarterly meetings where we'll have open discussions about those things, put it on the table, and everybody wants to grow and get better at what they do. So yeah, that's where we start from.
Sure. Craig, how do family hire and rental companies set themselves apart? Classic Hire has been extremely successful as a family-run business for more than 30 plus years. What are some recommendations and what advice would you give to smaller rental businesses around Australia from the impact of customer service and this, like you said, impact on building your team? And how do you personally preserve the original values at Classic Hire, even with this extraordinary increase in growth?
Yeah. Oh, look, the guys have developed the values of the business. So trust, support, fun and teamwork. And we reward our guys on that. So everybody has the opportunity to find someone doing things well or going over and above. And all they've got to do is send an email with some details about who did what. And then we have a category around our values. And if it meets that category, we give them a reward and we recognise their efforts and stuff. So we're really big on that, and every branch managers meeting, that's a topic, it's a part of the agenda, and then that goes through the toolbox meeting so that everybody's recognised. So yeah, we're big on that. We're big on our people.
Including everyone in that holistic vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Craig, you've been extremely dedicated and really supported the Hire and Rental Industry Association for Western Australian members, and additionally sitting in a national role with your role as State President with the Board of Directors. How has the Hire and Rental Industry Association and these roles affected your personal development and the various companies that you've been a part of over the years? Yeah,
I mean, doing coming in, when you first come in, it's like, wow, what's expected of me? How do I do this? I'm amongst some fantastic people with, highly credentialed and loads of experience. And for the first 2 years, you're finding your feet. You're trying to understand the expectations and how a board meeting runs properly and, the format and how it all plays out, if you like. And so after about 2 years, I think you start to come into your own. I don't know how the other guys feel, but I think we'd all be very similar. And so, you understand that you do have the experience, you have the knowledge, and that you want to give back, and the opportunity's there. So, yeah, I'm just passionate about the industry. It's been very, very good to me. I'm passionate about developing people in this industry, and I get the opportunity to do that through trade nights, making sure that we're communicating to all of our members, giving back, making sure that they come to these exhibitions and conventions, because there's a lot to be learned and gained from it.
Sure. Craig, congratulations on being recognised and nominated last year in Sydney for the 2023 Australian Hire Company of the Year Award, representing Classic Hire on stage with some of the most prominent and successful hire companies from around the nation. I'd love for you to run us through the judging process for the award, potentially some takeaways from the experience, and what the judging panel said you were doing really well, to maybe some learning opportunities or areas for improvement that you've really fixed since last year.
Yeah, Bernie Kickerbosch that guy has got some fantastic experience, and what a wonderful person. He's it's so unbiased, but he offered us, we weren't doing a lot wrong. Obviously we were runners up, but his main feedback for us was around where the equipment comes back and having it in designated areas, and making sure that the process from coming back in the designated area right up until it's hired, that process is absolutely transparent and uniform and disciplined. And that's not to say that it's not, it absolutely is, but there's areas of improvement that we can do as a business across our 8 branches. And so we're developing that. I've got to say though that it's unfinished business for all of our branch managers and our management team. Runners-up's kind of, it's unfinished business. So we'll be back.
Back for another year, fight another day, and I'm sure a lot of those things implement across 8 branches, like you said, is not an easy feat.
No, well, it's not, and putting it together is a really good process for looking at your business helicopter view, and when you've got to put it all on paper and understand it. It's a proud experience. You become really proud of what you've got, but you can also see where there's areas.
Self-awareness
for growth.
And holes.
Yeah. So it was a fantastic experience for me personally, and the management team and the business. We'll be back for some more. We want the trophy.
I'm glad. I'm looking forward to see you up on stage with the big trophy, and I'm sure the guys at Classic Hire will be absolutely over the moon, and it'll make it even more worthwhile after the many trials and tribulations of getting there in the end. But Craig, you're actually one of the very first people I met at my first hire show, meeting yourself with both my parents, learning all there was to know about Classic Hire, your local segment in WA, and your development in the industry, forming a great connection and relationship for many years to come. And I know that every year since, we always say, hope Craig's coming over from WA for this year's show, making it an annual catch-up, sharing success stories on the year that's been, what's new in the world of Australian hire and rental. Craig, what are your favourite memories from a rental industry event, some connections that you've grown across the nation, and what have been your main takeaways from this year's show here in Brisbane?
Yep. Oh, look, going back to where we met at that, in the foyer before one of the gala nights, 4 years ago. Unfortunately, the boys couldn't attend the gala night with me, so I was on my own for the first one, and stumbled into you, your mum and your dad, and we talked for 2 hours, and it's just, I've tracked your success and development since, and your dad's business, Larson's Hire. It's just, we've got a connection, one that, will just keep going forever, but that sticks in my mind. Just really, it's the relationships that you meet, along the way, right back to the days of Coburn Hire, and then we had a takeover, and we became Coburn Wreck Air, which was a Brambles company. 2 years later, it was Coates. And so, seeing what happens in a takeover, and some of it's good, and some of it could be done better, and understanding those things just builds a better person, builds experience, and that knowledge I can share.
Craig, over the course of your many years in the rental industry, working in many different organisations to running your own business as well, Who have been some key contributors to your personal success, or to some helpful advice that you've received from a particular person, taking the opportunity to stop, to thank and to appreciate some of these individuals you've gained along the way?
Yeah, look, I mean, Norm Hutchings, he's passed now, but back in those days, he was instrumental in developing me in a hire yard, and getting those real hire skills, you know. So yeah, that stands out. Ross Menner was our operations manager of Coburn Hire at the time, and he had a wealth of knowledge, and I think he was so good for all of our branch managers. You know, he would bring us all on and develop us and develop our knowledge, and give you a few clips along the way, which is only fair. And a gentleman named Michael King, who I met when I got out of the industry for a period due to a takeover. And so I was asked to be on the board at a construction company, which was a really good experience. And Michael was on the board as well. Michael's 80 now, and just his worldly experience and education, he gave me a wealth of knowledge and skills, and he gave me the tools and the confidence to go and develop myself a little bit more. So yeah, wonderful. And that's what I like to do with others.
Sure. Craig, what's a typical day like in the hire industry for you, the daily routines and roles you play at Classic Hire, and what keeps you personally motivated and continuing to work and forcing your growth in the rental industry?
Yeah, I guess I'm probably still very self-motivated. I still love, preparing a quote and trying to win it. I guess that's just a bit of a competitive nature. That developing the business and developing people along with our management team, all of us playing our role equally and contributing, that gets me up in the mornings. I enjoy that. I can't say I've ever had a bad day at work. I can't. I just enjoy what I do. So, my role, what's my typical day? It's preparing some of the financials, some of them for us to look at, keeping any really good information for the branch managers meetings, finding people doing things well, doing some external business development, working on the business along with Erin. Putting out a few fires along the way, you know the story.
Craig, what's a typical day like in the hire industry? And I want to hit you with the what's next question.
Okay.
What are your plans for the future personally, specific goals in your role as president, and also your future visions for the trajectory of Classic Hire? And to wrap us up, how do you define success?
Ooh, there's a lot there. I would like to do next year on the board will be my 5th year. I think to give it you need to do 5 years in my mind to be able to provide, to give back and provide some good input. So, but if there is somebody in the committee with a desire to step up and really has that passion to give, I would step aside after 5 years. I'm so searching for that. That doesn't mean I want to come off the board or be president of WA. I'm really enjoying that side of it. What does success look? Success looks like a company. Success to me is a company with a fantastic culture where everybody's contributing evenly with their own set of skills and strengths, but understanding their weaknesses and their growth areas. That would be sort of success for me. I think that, when you're in the zone, and I've been in the zone with companies and Classic Hire, we have a fair bit of that. That's what success looks like. It's not hard.
Craig, thank you for your time sitting down with us today on the last day of the Hire Show. Enjoy your time here in Brisbane, the gala dinner tonight, and best of luck in the future.
Yeah. Thank you very much.